Panda, John Mayer, Paul Newman, Rainbow. These are just some of the nicknames that the infamous Rolex Daytona has. We're going to get into some of the ones that you may have never heard before and get really grainy with the nicknames that have been around for the vintage watches, the new watches, and see what they are and where they came from. With me today, I have David Hattenschwiller to go through this. David, how are you this morning?
Doing very well, very well. Trying to finish.
I know speaking is hard. I have a hard time doing it myself.
Yeah. Doing very well. Trying to finish this month strong. Love the Daytona. Love being on set.
So the Daytona is arguably probably the most valuable of the Rolex models, the most sought after, vintage, new, neo-vintage, both obviously retail, secondary market. The Daytona is probably the name that most people know. Now, most people, especially, I'm going to go with dealers. Most dealers don't know every reference number. They don't know every single dial, but they do know nicknames.
For sure.
That's how we refer to them. That's how the public refers to them. I've compiled a list of a ton of nicknames, and while doing this, there are some that I've never heard of before. I thought it would be really interesting to introduce you to some that you may have never heard of before, and obviously our viewers. If you want, we could jump right into it. We're going to start with some of the simpler ones. Actually, you know what? Before we do, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, check out graphicrugs.com where you can get a watch dial rug in 4, 5, or 6.5 feet. They're pretty awesome. They sponsor our podcast, so I'm definitely into promoting them. Plus, we have them all over the office. It's a great company to partner with.
Great quality.
Graphicrugs.com. Check them out.
Great quality. So, the Daytona is cool. Little tidbit. When I was younger, I used to see the Daytona all the time. I thought it was for Daytona Beach, Florida. It was I remember when we were.
No, it is actually.
No, it is because of the
race.
Daytona 24.
Daytona 24.
Yeah.
But I didn't make the connection when I was a kid. I know we used to RV when I was a kid. It was kind of our way to kind of see the U.S. And we were in Daytona Beach, and I saw the Rolex, and I'm like, whoa! I put 2 and 2, and then after I was like, racing.
It is interesting. It's got like a geographic even connection, even though it's named after the race. The race took place in Daytona. First one, simple one. We got the Rolex Panda. You know the Panda, I know the Panda, the public knows the Panda. Tell me, what's a Panda?
So Panda is, it's the Rolex Daytona with the 116500 LN. It's the model with the white dial and the black sub-dial, looking like a Panda.
It does. The new one looks like the Panda without the black eyes.
Right, yeah.
Some of the reference numbers, you said the 116. We also have the 126, which is the newest one, 116519. Then if we go vintage, we have the 6239, 6241, 6262, 6264, a couple more. It is probably the most recognizable Rolex of all.
Definitely. So I'm actually working right now with a client who, 6 months ago, he really wanted a Panda, and they were just they were still pretty high up there. And then when they discontinued them, they kind of shot up, and now they've come down. They've stabilized. You're able to get one for around $37,000. But what I do think is when the 126 comes out, those are going to be out the gate at 50, 50K. And I think that's going to have a carryover effect to the current ones. So, I was, basically recommending him, now's the good time to get
it. It is a good
one,
time because they're no longer making it.
They're no longer making them. And then, kind of, I wouldn't say the hype, but the honeymoon is kind of over and it's settled, and the market's waiting for the next push to drive prices up.
Since it is the most iconic Rolex, almost you can kind of say of all time, except for the Paul Newman, obviously. Owning one in its original form, not going to the new 126, which has the rim around and has a smaller sub-dial.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of it.
We'll see once we have it at hand.
Honestly, that's the way it is with the Daytonas. Daytonas. When you see them in pictures, it's very, very different than having it in hand or even on wrist. They look really big, and the new ones they look quite big. Also because the dial seems smaller. So. It'll be interesting to see what it's like in hand.
Can't wait, and I'm interesting to see what the prices will be of them. And I'm working on a article, updating some of our pricing, and we don't know. The market price for the 126 is to be determined.
TBD, right?
Next one, everybody probably knows this one. I know you do. The Rolex John Mayer.
John Mayer. So 116508.
Yes.
Yeah, 508. So with the Rolexes, 8 is yellow gold, 9 is white gold. 5 is rose, and no, 5 is rose and 3 is two-tone.
What about platinum?
Platinum? Oh, I think it's a 7.
Might be.
I think it's 7.
I do not know reference numbers well enough. I don't want to because somebody tells me a reference number, I can't assign an image to it. You know, give me a nickname, I know what it is.
For sure, yeah. It's when you see them on paper, it's just like data. Like it's like you're reading binary code, and you know what it is. But then when you say the reference, you're like, what is that? You know.
So this is obviously the yellow gold with the green dial. It was made famous by a YouTube video of musician John Mayer talking about it. This has been like a highly viewed video.
Oh, the reel I did where I was dancing downstairs.
Yeah. How did that do?
Oh, it went really well. Selfless plug.
Good. Rolex discontinued this year in 23. So that one is, in theory, no longer available. Now, knowing Rolex, they might bring it back in a certain, different form in the next couple of years. We'll see. Another very popular one is the Rolex Rainbow Daytona. Now, we know there are a couple variations to this. There's pave, pave dial and band, not the band. Black dial, all this other stuff. White gold, rose gold, yellow gold.
Yeah.
This refers to anything that has a gem set Daytona rainbow bezel.
Yeah, those are great watches. Probably the holy grail. It's the king of all Daytonas. Yes. They still command a very high premium.
I don't know if it is anymore.
Really?
The new one they dropped.
Oh, yeah, I got to say.
With the emeralds.
With the emeralds,
yeah. Was it not emeralds, sapphires?
Rubies or
rubies?
Yeah, I think they were rubies. Rubies or sapphires. And all I could see was, honestly, all I saw was like some grainy press pictures from that. I wasn't privy to more
that one is
high-res pictures. Yeah, but the Rainbow Daytona is such a sick piece.
It's a grail,
but you can they're really, really good aftermarket ones as well.
Oh, they are. Me and Peter just went through them.
They're amazing aftermarket ones. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. $35,000 and you look like a billionaire. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Next one, Rolex Eye of the Tiger. So the Eye of the Tiger is a nickname given to the yellow gold Daytona, reference number 116588 TBR. Introduced in 2019. It's an off-catalog piece. Obviously, gem set, Daytona with baguette diamonds, set into the bezel, black lacquer dial intertwined with diamonds. There is a difference between the Eye of the Tiger and the leopard, and we'll get into what the leopard is, but I always confuse the two. I guess we can say it right now. The leopard the reference number for that is the 116598 SACO, the SACO, because it has the cognac stones in the bezel, but it also has the band that's like leopard print. It's like the crocodile leopard print.
Yeah, that's a really, really serious piece. And as well, we've actually turned down a few of those because it's very easy to make make aftermarket, right? So people don't really know what they're getting. So it's better to steer clear of them and let's start coming from really trusted and reputable sources.
Do you know what SACO stands for? I learned this while researching this.
It's Sapphire and Cognac. Sapphire Cognac. Yeah, there it is.
I thought that was awesome. So you have the SA from the Sapphire, you have the CO from the Cognac. It just means cognac dial sapphires, around the bezel. Next one are the Rolex Beach Daytonas, which, we've had the pleasure of pretty much seeing every single one of them. They come in typically 4 colors. You have yellow, pink,
green, the green and
like
the yellow.
The Tiffany, like
the Tiffany blue.
What is it called? Turquoise
yes.
blue.
Yes.
Made in 2000s. Colorful dials, matching colorful straps.
And like a lizard skin strap. It's super interesting.
Yeah. And those, it's funny to still see those, new. Like they've never been worn.
We have the new old stocks downstairs. Yeah. I just had to take a picture of them next to the Tiffany OP that we had, and those are perfect summer watches. They are so cool and so timeless. It just really shows. It's a testament to how timeless the Daytona is, and how it's basically a canvas for all these ever changing trends.
Absolutely.
So it's love the Beach Daytona.
Next one that we're talking about is the Rolex Zenith Daytona. Now, this is thrown around quite often, and people always, personally, I assumed, okay, it has a Zenith movement, which is 100% correct. Made from 1988 to 2000. They had the Rolex, they had the El Primero 4030 caliber movement inside. Any reason, do you know why Rolex used the El Primero movement? Was that just the standard?
Well, the El Primero is just a very robust chronograph movement, right? So I guess rather than, draw funds from, their marketing and other departments, they were outsourcing a lot of movements. Okay. And just the way Tudor does with ETA or Valjoux, just a way to use a tried and tested product and basically license it and use it in their own movements.
And then they made their own in-house movements.
Correct.
With
yes.
the 4130 and 4131. Next one we have is one that's rumored to have only been made. There's only been 10 of these. That is the Rolex Chairman Daytona. The official reference number for that is 16528. Supposedly, it was produced in 1991 for high-level executives at Rolex, never actually released to the public. It's yellow gold with a galvanized ocean blue dial. Again, only 10 of these supposedly exist. They are researchable. If you Google it, you will find it.
Have any ever gone to market or auction?
I have not seen it. I have not seen any information about that. I haven't seen any value on them, so I don't really know whether they have.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is one that stands out. It's, again, not something you've never referred to a watch as the Chairman Daytona, but I'm sure if we got one, you would. You would learn.
Right.
Next, have you ever heard of the Rolex Patrizzi?
Of course, yeah. I sold a Patrizzi to a very good friend of mine, a childhood friend who lives in Dubai right now. And Patrizzi Daytona, so it's the gentleman who started Antiquorum, right?
Osvaldo Patrizzi.
Osvaldo Patrizzi, yes. And basically, it was, with these older Rolexes, as they kind of come into contact with UVs, the inks and the pigments and the materials that they use for the dials start to fade or they discolor, and this is actually quite desirable. So the Patrizzi has this discoloration around the sub-dial rings, which gives it this very chocolatey kind of
patina.
Yeah, like a patina, but they in the vintage watch game they throw around words like tropical or patina, if you will. But beautiful piece, and on a model like this, they it can easily double or triple the value.
How much did you sell yours for?
Sold it was a really, really good deal for the guy at the time, around $20,000.
Okay,
where a comparable model would be around 17 or 18.
So it is in demand just because it was officially a defect. Rolex messed it up, and that's what happened. And Osvaldo Patrizzi is actually the one that found this, defect and this anomaly. So it's named after him. Very, very cool. The fact that a nickname named after the person. Yeah, he started Antiquorum, or the founder of Antiquorum. I have seen him. I just didn't know that was a name for it. To me, it was just vintage. It was just.
Yeah, I guess. So the way it is, with these dials, it's basically whoever found them first, kind of like a pioneer or an explorer that found an island. He gets his namesake put on it, as long as he puts down his flag, right? So as well, there's this gentleman in New York. Tuscany Rose. He has his special type of dials as well, just because I guess he identified them and kind of made it a thing, right? So
interesting. Next one is probably the most well-known one, is the Rolex Paul Newman. So these are Daytona watches. They're nicknamed Paul Newman because they're vintage 4-digit references fitted with special dials. They were officially called exotic dials. These were categorized by contrasting subdials, Art Deco style numerals, square-tipped hash mark, and other design details that are specific to the Paul Newman. Actor and racer, and race car driver, I guess, not racer. Well, whatever you call
racer.
Racer, yeah. Paul Newman was seen wearing a Rolex Daytona with these exotic dials, and his watch was the most expensive watch sold at auction up to a certain point, up to recently, really. And they're engraved with, his wife had them engraved to him.
Oh,
wow. Actually, I think there's an auction coming up with the last two of his that are engraved.
It'd be interesting to see what those go for, because we need a little push. we have a Paul Newman here. That would be cool to see if it correlates. So
I don't think we have a multi-million-dollar.
No. I mean,
it's a $250,000.
Yeah, $250,000 watch.
Okay.
I wore it last episode. Casual.
Next one is one that I personally have not. Actually, I guess the next 3 I have not heard of. So this one, have you ever heard of the Rolex Big Eye?
Oh, big. I have. It rings a bell, but I don't want to.
You're probably thinking of the next one, which is the Rolex Big Red. Like this, the Big Red Daytona.
So is the Big Eye the one with the skinnier bezel? And
it has. And again, bigger is a very relative term because you can't see it. I can't see it, but it has bigger subdials than usual.
The changes are so minute and evolutionary that it really does take a very keen eye and a very passionate enthusiast to be able to kind of decipher all of the changes.
So this episode is a part of a series that I'm doing about nicknames of Rolexes. The entire list is so long, I broke it up into a numerous episode. In one of the episodes that I'm going to record, there was a nickname to a Rolex model. I can't remember which one it was off the top of my head, but it was nicknamed, I can't remember the nickname, but it had a specific nickname just because the C in chronograph was lined up with the C in, I was like, who pays attention to this crap?
Oh, they're forms. They're like, I would say thousands, but it's like a very, very vocal minority of watch collectors that are very, very serious.
One of our writers is, I want to almost say he's like a Rolex freak. Like this guy knows everything. Vintage, modern. You ask him a question and off the top of his head, he will answer it without thinking, without blinking. It's unbelievable the amount of knowledge that this guy has about every single Rolex, every single dial, every single off catalog piece, like every reference number. He knows it all, and it's like, it's amazing to see. So the difference is the Big Eye has the big subdials. The next one, the Big Red Daytona, pretty self-explanatory. The Daytona is written in red, and it's pretty large. It's right above the 6 o'clock subdial. I've seen those before. Didn't know they had a nickname because we have like the Submariner, or the Sea Dweller Red.
Redliner.
Yeah, we have those.
Single red.
Single red. Yeah, there you go.
Double
Single red sub. Then we have double red. Yeah. One that I haven't heard of, our second to last one, is the Rolex Solo. Have you ever heard of the Rolex Solo?
Rolex Solo. I'm not familiar with that piece. Does it have anything to do with Star Wars?
It is extremely rare. It's the vintage reference number 6240. All it has on the dial is the word Rolex. That's it. Now, again, I have not seen one of these in person.
So it doesn't have any subdials?
No. Well, it has subdials.
No, it does, yeah.
Okay,
it has subdials. It doesn't have any other text.
I see. Okay, understood.
Only Rolex.
Wow.
It is extremely ultra rare.
So like a kind of streamlined, very, very back to the roots. Well, because it is back to the roots.
Here, I'll show you a picture of it.
Oh, wow. I like that.
It is cool, right?
It is cool, yeah.
It's very minimalistic, very clean.
It reminds me of kind of like one of those Singer Porsches,
Yeah.
like the way that it's just very pared down and it almost looks like it could be a custom, right? Like done by artisans de Genève or something to kind of really get back to that.
I would probably get one of these.
Yeah, definitely. That's a flex.
Our final one is one that you probably have heard of, maybe the Rolex John Player Special Daytona.
GPS.
No, let's see.
The JPS.
Oh, the JPS. Yeah, of course. Yes, this one.
So the JPS is an acronym for John Player Special. What makes John Player Special special? 70s era John Player livery found on Lotus Formula One cars. The Rolex John Player Special refers to vintage yellow gold Daytona watches reference 6241 and 6264 with black bezels and black dials with gold subdials.
We have a JPS outside. Well,
a quarter of one.
A quarter of one. On the Formula One car, we have the John Player Special livery.
That's true. Yes, we have.
There's a lot of stuff
We have
going
the car.
There's a car. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the last one. And again, JPS is probably a better way to refer to it. But just so our viewers and listeners can understand, John Player Special is what it's named after. The John Player
Cigarettes, right?
Huh?
The cigarettes, the John Player.
I don't know. Was it a cigarette brand?
I think originally.
Was it cigarette or whiskey?
Then it changed to Player cigarettes.
Was
so
it
maybe
was it whiskey? I feel like no.
It might have been multiple things.
Well, yeah, really, it is.
Actually, if you're watching this or listening to this, please inform us. What was John Player Special? Was it cigarettes? Was it whiskey?
This is before my time. I mean,
yeah, me too.
I was living just when Formula One was like you could still have Marlboro.
Wow, I forgot even how to. I used to smoke Marlboros in Parliament.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, it's
Camels.
Kamal.
No, not camels.
Yeah, and then so I remember like growing up and seeing Shumi with the Marlboro fly around the track, and then they slowly made the transition to like the barcode and not the brand, and then just the just a little peak,
Yeah.
and then now they have like it's because now they can't even have any sponsorship at all, so they create these like companies that don't really do anything but are owned by the tobacco companies, and they just sponsor the cars. So
it's so funny how the world has changed.
It really is.
When I see somebody smoking these days, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You look cool, man.
Yeah, you're a cool looking guy.
Right.
It's funny because I was in New York recently, and I didn't realize how many people in New York still smoke.
Oh, they do.
You walk down the street, people are smoking. I'm like,
What else are they going to do?
Very
true.
Very European,
Well, vaping is like the big thing now.
Yeah, it is.
So that was our episode for the Rolex Daytona nicknames. Tune in next few days. I'm going to be doing the nicknames of other Rolex models, such as the Rolex Mariners, Rolex Datejust, Day Dates, Explorers. And then I'm going to do an episode on the most obscure Rolex nicknames. Now, these are ones that, it's very likely people have not heard of, especially if they're not like vintage specialists or anything like that. If you know some other Rolex Daytona nicknames that I have not mentioned here, please comment. Pikachu? What's a Pikachu?
Pikachu is the 116518. So Oyster Flex Daytona with the black dial. Yellow colored dial, but black sub dials. Looks like Pikachu. Like a panda, but yellow. Pikachu is
I
basically
feel like that's something that came up in Asia. that's Asian specific.
Or like a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, Daddy, this looks like Pikachu.
Right. Okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah. But if you do know one that we haven't mentioned here, other than the Pikachu or some, specific geographic nickname, let us know in the comments. Email us, talk to us, DM us, do whatever you got to do to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe, like this video, comment on it. Visit graphicrugs.com, check out their rugs, and we will see you next time on another episode of Gray Market Podcast, Rolex Model Nicknames.
Thank you for having me.
Take care.